Hi, my name is Allie, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm the maker behind Crochet in the Mud, and we're back now. So thank you for those of you who stuck along with me while for the past like 2 months I didn't really post anything. I definitely was more exhausted from the summer job than I thought and barely crocheted, let alone set aside time to edit. But yeah, we are back. I am hoping to get back to the 3 videos a week schedule. If not, I am hoping to at least do the 2 with the Monday weekly makes. And then, don't know if it'll be a Wednesday or a Friday video. It might just be whichever one. But yeah, I've got a lot of videos backed up. And that's a good thing because it's going to be quite a busy fall once again. So tomorrow's my birthday. And then my mom's gonna come in town, and my wedding is coming up. So she's coming in town to do some wedding stuff, where I have my final dress fitting and all of that. So that's coming up it is now less than a month away. But yeah, thankfully I have enough videos recorded so that even if I didn't record anything, I have enough to edit and get out past the wedding. But yeah, so I do apologize for being so far behind. I do know I posted part 1 of my Memorial Day market, and then my next video after this one should be part 2 of the Memorial Day market, and then I know I have my Pride market. I've got one I just did earlier this month in August. I've got my final Joann haul still to post. Tons of fun videos coming up, and I hope that you'll stick along and enjoy those, even though they are coming out a little later than I'd hoped for. But today's going to be a weekly makes, and I was back to being crochet full-time this week, and my wrist definitely was mad about going from no crocheting back to full-time crocheting with no notice. So I did have to take some more breaks than I'm used to this week because my wrist got used to not crocheting for 2 months. But yeah, so didn't do as much as I thought. I thought I had done a lot more than I normally do. And then I went through and just did my little spreadsheet to figure out how much inventory, like monetarily, I made this month, or this week, excuse me. And it's less than I thought. However, it's fine. You know, I'm still getting back into the swing of things. But I figured I'll show you. My focus right now is on restocking my 2 stores I'm in. They desperately need restocked. And then after those both are finished, I think I have like 2 weeks where I'm going to focus heavily on my next market, which is right before the wedding. So that was kind of a dumb decision, but I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We're doing a weekday wedding, so like it's not like I'm doing a Friday market and then Saturday the next day is the wedding. No, it's just the next week during a weekday. So it'll be fine, but everyone that I tell in my family, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing a Friday market. They're like, are you insane? I'm like, it's fine, it's fine. But so this is going to be a lot of my like bestsellers and small items. So I'm pretty sure you've seen all these before. There's no new patterns right now. It's kind of just get the bestsellers into the stores because I haven't been doing too well. The one that I've been in for like 3 years now, I'm still doing decent, but my numbers are definitely lower than what they are in the past. But that's my fault because I'm not restocking them well enough. And then my other store that I just joined, literally Memorial Day weekend, so there should be a video coming out about that store soon. I dropped off pottery, and then I gave them, I think, like 5 pocket octos, and I have not been back since. And it is now August 18th. So, yeah, they are my first priority. I believe this coming Saturday, we have plans to meet up with people close to the store. So I was going to go this week. But if we're driving over that way anyway, I'm just going to do it Saturday when we're in that part of town. And I'll bring them hopefully a good variety of plushies, and hopefully those will sell, because so far I have not yet made rent at that store. So that store is literally just losing me money, and all the inventory that is being sold is not profiting at all. I'm not even making my materials back or my labor back. But again, that's my fault because I have not stocked them. So I really thought this spring that I was doing so good on inventory, and then it depleted, which is a great problem to have, but I thought I was well equipped to make it through my summer job, but I was not. Anywho, I have been chatting for quite a bit, so we will get into what I made this week, which again are things you've all seen before. So I made some more possums. These ones I sell for $16, and they are always a huge hit. I don't think I've ever taken them somewhere and not sold one. This one is the Crochet by Jenna pattern, I believe. And as always, all of the patterns are linked in the description below. I know we've had some issues with the Google Docs, so now I think I'm doing a Canva. Let me know in the comments if that doesn't work. Fingers crossed it works. If not, I'll just go back to listing every individual, which is not an issue for like the weekly makes, but when it comes to my market videos, when I have like 50 patterns out, I don't want to go list them one by one, so that's why I'm trying to do a Google Doc. But let me know if the problem's fixed or not. But these guys I made 9 of. I went through, I used, I believe it's called dark gray in the Bernay blanket to make these, but I ran out of gray. And right now I'm trying not to buy yarn. If you see behind me, this is just one of each color I have of Bernay only. I do have 2 shelves down below that you can't really see are all of my Big Twist Posh collection, which is overflowing. And then I have another bookshelf over there with Premier yarns, just the Parfait Chunky. And then I have a box of, I'm trying out their basic chenille right now, and it doesn't fit anywhere. And then in my closet, I have a huge overflow of yarn from the Joann closure. So we're also potentially moving here in February. Potentially out of state, potentially just within state, just getting a cheaper apartment. So I think I'm going to try to use up a lot of my yarn. So I'm trying not to buy yarn, also just because I have so much. But of course, some of my most used colors I never got to buy a lot of in the Joann closure. So we'll see. But that's just a long-winded way of saying I caved. I am mad at Michaels right now, and I really don't want to support them, but I went in and bought some gray because we happen to be next to a Michaels, and I was hoping to also get more of this pink that I use. I believe it's called light pink or baby pink or something, but they didn't have any. I know they have that color because during the closure I went into Michaels just to get a sense of, you know, what yarns can I buy in person. The location we were at didn't have any. They also didn't have their new, I'll throw up a picture of it, the new loops and threads. I believe it's supposed to be a dupe of Bernay blanket, but I want to try it out. It wasn't there. I do have the Cozy Cub and Posh Pearl to try out. That was a different time I went in. That was when I was not mad at Michaels. I can make a whole video about why I'm mad at Michaels if you're curious. But I did just buy another gray, and I'll honestly probably use that entire skein to make more possums. Not right now. I don't know. I mean, I have 9. I would prefer to bring more than 5 to each store, but we'll see what happens, especially with my mom being in town this week. I don't know how productive I will be. Next on the list, of course, we had to do some axolotls. Now, if you've watched my videos for a while, you might know my prices. I don't know if you memorized them. I used to charge $18 for these. Now, I'm going to try raising the price to $21. This is for multiple reasons. I don't care for making these, and they are probably one of my top 3 bestsellers. If I bring them, they're gonna sell. So if they're always selling out, I'm gonna try supply and demand and raise the price a little. And also, since I don't like making them, if they sell a little slower, that's okay. They'll probably buy something that's not an axolotl if they really want a plushie. Because I have a lot of plushies for $18 and people will compare them and be like, oh, well, I really like this one, but the axolotl is also $18. So I'm gonna get an axolotl because I like axolotls. Trying to avoid that a little. I do want to cater to what people like, but we're gonna try for a little bit at 21, see if that still sells at 21. I'm hoping they still sell. But I went through and I made 5 blue ones this week. My best sellers are the light blue and the light pink, but as we just talked about, I don't really have light pink right now. I could go to Michael's. There's one close to my house that was next to the old Joann. See, I say I'm trying to not buy yarn, but then I really need that light pink. I do have, can you see this on? Yeah, a little bit. This was one of those giant 600-gram skeins, this pink right here, but it's slightly too pink for what I want, and I have used it to make axolotls in the past, but I think it's like the perfect pink for possums. So I've just been using it for that right now, but I might go buy a pink. My other idea is we're really close to Memorial Day, and I have a feeling that either Hirschner's or Your Inspirations, both of them will probably have a big sale for Labor Day, and maybe I'll try to make an order then, especially because we'll get to that later. My Mabel Chicken, I use some of the, I think it's called ombre, and the color Spice is nice, but it's currently sold out everywhere online that I've looked. And that's a problem, but we'll get to that when I get to Mabel Chickens. But 5 of these at $21, and then I guess we'll talk about Mabel Chicken next. So I'm sure you know Mabel Chicken. Everyone and their mother makes Mabel Chickens. But I finished out the skein that I had to where I was playing yarn chicken with it, and I technically lost. I had one more row to go on one, but I just said whatever and just sewed it shut as is. So it's a little shorter than the others. But yeah, with these guys, my most recent time restocking my store eclectic, I brought them 4. I was like, that'll be perfect. The day I was there, 1 sold, the next day 2 sold. So there's 1 left. So ideally I need to give that store some, but these I sell for $16. And again, maybe I should raise the price on these, I don't know. I was able to make 7 is what I had left over when I went through and made all of the bodies. These I like to batch make, where we'll make all the bodies and then I'll go back eventually and add the eyes, beak, the comb, and stuff them. So I had 7 in my bucket. So I went ahead and finished them all up. I might just not bring them to my new store yet. I don't know. When it comes to talking about prices, I just want to put this out. Also, I have had some hate comments about this. Price your stuff how you want. I, however, live in Denver, Colorado, where the cost of living is much higher, and also I pay a crap ton for booth fees. I've seen a lot of people complain about, oh, I paid $70 for this market, that's so expensive. I have never paid $70 for a market. I think the cheapest I have is $125. With all of the videos you'll see, I usually try to share my booth fee. My most recent one was $988. Now that market, I will give a spoiler warning right here, did not go as well as I'd hoped, and I lost money at that market. So my plushies do have labor to make the plushie and materials built into the price, yes. And then there's a little bit of profit. But the profit portion is not very high, and that's what I need to use to pay for the booth fee to, if I ever want to, say, buy a new display for my market. Anything for the business needs to be paid for by profit, and I think I need to raise my profit margin. So I think usually I do about a 30% profit margin, I have a spreadsheet that helps me price everything, where I put how long it takes me to make, how many materials I use, all of that. But I don't think I have a high enough profit margin. It's also like with the things that sell so well that I can't keep them in stock, that's kind of when you need to raise your price, because you shouldn't be struggling to keep a certain plushie in stock. If you are, then you're underpricing it. That's at least how I look at it. If you disagree, that's fine. But please don't leave me a hate comment. I did get one on my last video. I did delete it. But they were just saying, like, if you don't like me, you can unsubscribe. You don't need to leave me a comment saying that you're unsubscribing because blah, 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 and list all the reasons. They were saying that I'm never satisfied with my markets and they've never made as much as I do at a market. This was a different situation. This was on my last video about the $1,000 booth fee. If I'm paying $1,000 to be there, I expect to make money. This is also a very well-known market. If you're in the Colorado area, this was Boulder Creek Festival. Everyone knows what this market is. Everyone knows it's Memorial Day weekend. However, it was a very rainy weekend all 3 days, and it does not rain here a lot. So that was a really weird weather for the area. So it just wasn't a great market, and I was disappointed because I had been looking forward to, if you've seen all my other weekly makes, I'd been talking about this market for months about how I was making sure I had a lot of inventory because I was hoping and expecting to sell a lot. And I didn't. So you can always go back and watch that video if you want. That was my like in-person clips, and it even was, at one point they evacuated us from our tents due to lightning, and then they ended the market early. And you can go watch all of that. And then my upcoming video will be about like the stories I had from the day of, or days of, it was 3 days, and then what all sold. But yeah, there's just a little bit of, you know, people have different things. This is not a hobby for me. This is my full-time job. I do this to make money. I need to make money. I need to be able to afford rent, afford to eat, and all of those things. So I try to do the bigger markets. I have done a lot of market research over the 4 years I've lived here, where if a market is not good, I will not go back to it. And I really want to keep sharing my prices with you and how much I made, but it was just one hate comment. But it really got to me, and that was unfortunate, and I was just pissed off for the rest of the day. So if you disagree with my pricing, that's fine, but just keep in mind all of these other things. And also, minimum wage here is $19 an hour. It's slightly less than that, it's like 18 something, but however, this is not a minimum wage job. I am not paying myself minimum wage. I deserve to make more than that. So I have not had issues selling my stuff. If you've seen my videos, people will buy it at that price. I do get comments all the time about that's too expensive, that's too much for stuffy. That's fine, they're not my target audience. So just keep that in mind when I talk about my prices, please. I also made some more of my jellies. Now, these have been selling really well. I sell these for $21. They do take quite a bit of time to do all the tentacles. Of course, it's the curly cues. But yeah, I usually have these in purple and pink. This last market they did not sell. I had brought 4 and I left with all 4. So I have not sold them in my stores yet, but usually they sell really well at markets. But they had a bust. I mean, it also was kind of a bust of a market. You'll see that whenever the August Friday night market comes out, I only sold $400. And at that market, I usually sell between $700 and $1,400. So to make $400 was a bust. However, that video will be coming out at some point, but that was very recent for me. But I made 2 more of these to hopefully start putting them in stores and see how they do there. But I also just kind of wanted to use my Parfait Chunky because I recently got a Premier yarn order, which also will be a video coming out at some point. I do apologize. I know I'm so far behind, and now it's going to be weird having my Monday videos be real time and then the other videos be 3 months ago. But at some point I'll catch back up and they will be all in real time. But I made 2 of these for $21. And then another really big seller of mine are Mallard Ducks. Now, I'm hoping to start using different yarn for these. Now, I was going to say in the past, I guess still currently, I use Burn-A Blanket for all of these. This is, oh dang, I thought I was going to know the name. You know, the very common green you'll find in stores. And then the brown I've been using is taupe, and I have been ordering it on Amazon, and it only comes in half skeins from what I've seen. I've never seen this in person. I have seen videos of other people finding it in person, but I personally have never seen it in stores. And then I got a Premier Yarn order of, oh, I'm blanking on all these words, Parfait Chunky of the chocolate, and it was beautiful. And I recently tried out the Chenille Basics yarn from Premier, and I really enjoy it. However, the chocolate and that was sold out at the time, and I do appreciate that between the different lines, even though it might be slightly different, the colors are pretty similar if they have the same name. It could just be a dye lot issue, or just it's impossible to make them the exact same color. I don't know. But I really want to switch to using chocolate for these, so hopefully at some point we will. But I ended up making 8 of these Mallard Ducks, and I only have a little bit of taupe left, and I'm hoping, again, not to buy more yarn, more than I need to at least. But it was a real shame too, because I was really happy with the colors of my Mallard Ducks until I made one out of Parfait Chunky. But I don't have any more chocolate, so there is no Parfait Chunky. I did for a while make them in both, and people were buying both sizes. Some people even buying one of each size and calling it like a mom and daughter or parent and kid or whatever. But yeah, these guys sell really well. I love this pattern. I will forever make this pattern, and I don't hate making it, so that's a good thing. Last couple of things. We, of course, had to restock on Tofu Turtles. Now, these are my 3 main colors I do. So I have this, I call this my beige one. I call this one green, and then I call this one pink. Now, these 2 are different right now, because this pink, I'm using the wrong pink right now, just because I bought that giant 600 gram one. And then this one, I'm using the wrong shell color. I like to make this out of Misty Jungle Green, but I could not find it forever during the closure. Finally gave up, bought a bunch of seafoam, and then the next day, I think, finally found Misty Jungle Green. So I'm currently using my seafoam to make shells, and then I am using my Misty Jungle Green to make the bodies of the green turtles here. Then eventually, I will get more of the pink that I like to use. I mean, I don't hate the combo, but it's definitely not as good as the last combo. And like, I could even tell the difference between seafoam and Misty Jungle Green, which is the subtlest difference. But I ended up making 8 of those total. I sell those for $18. I do have some more shells in my bag, because I like to make these in a assembly line, so I'll make a bunch of shells, usually finish out a whole skein, and then they'll sit in a bag until I'm ready to come back, and then I'll make the heads and then the bodies. Hence, I also have right now a bunch of pizza turtle shells that need pepperoni still, which is why they've been in that box for so long, and then I need to make their bodies. But of course, that body color, I love that green so much and never found it in the closure. I do still have a skein and a partial left, but my hoarder brain doesn't want to use it up. But I made 1 pink, 2 beige, and then 5 green So I know I'm out of green shells at the moment. I believe both of these still have more I can make. But I do have the yarn to make all of the shells. So it's just a matter of what plushie do I prioritize. And then lastly, for my new store, I wanted to give them at least one big plushie. Currently it's just the one. But I made this dragon. So I love this color combo, and this is partially why I wanted to make a premiere order. Mainly it was to try chenille basics, but I was really excited to reorder these two colors. I love them together. I also make seahorses with these two, but my Parfait chunky version is slightly cheaper than my Bernay blanket because of material costs. It still takes the same amount of time, so I did make it a little cheaper, but it's the same profit margin. So this one's $52. I wanted to give them something more than just small plushies. So we've got this guy going to that store. Oh, who knows, probably make another of that color combo just because it's so pretty. And when I first did this color combo, I believe I made also the inverse. So I made a pink dragon with the teal accents. So I might do that too. We'll see. But there's still quite a lot to make, and I even need to make pocket octopus, which is strange. I had so many at the beginning of the year, and now it's dwindled down to where I don't really have any. I've sent them off to my stores, and now I'm desperately needing to make some. But like I said, it felt like I'd made so much this week. It was 40 plushies, and I was like, oh, that's more than I've ever made before. No, it's just been a while since I've crocheted. But that total came out to $743 worth of inventory I made this week. I don't yet know what my market inventory is. I know I usually go over that, but I think most of that's going to go to the stores. I guess I can tell you how much I have left over currently in my bags. That's gonna stay as market inventory. So let me pull it up real quick. I currently have $1,455 of market inventory, and that is thanks to being able to pull out my Halloween stuff. So we'll say all of this is going to stores. I don't know yet. I haven't yet decided. Most of it for sure is going to go to stores, but yeah, we'll call that my market inventory level so far, which is not a lot, and most of that is big plushies. Not a lot of that is little plushies. So definitely a lot of work to do for the rest of August and beginning of April. I believe, let me look at the date of my next market. My next market is September 12th, and I am restocking one store this week on Saturday the 23rd. I'm restocking my other store next week on Thursday the 28th, and then my focus will be on my September 12th market. So lots of stuff to do. Yeah, hopefully I can start doing some new patterns. I have some in mind that I really want to do. I just need to get out of the headspace of you have to always have your bestsellers. Not necessarily. I can start experimenting. And it's also nice for not only me to change it up a little bit, but also for the customers to see different stuff. Like I know at my one store, there are people who come in like every week, and they keep seeing the same things from me. So if I can bring in some new stuff, I think they would enjoy that. But that's everything for me this week. Thank you all for sticking along with me while I was not posting. I'm hoping to come back full time. I do apologize for all of that. I had a great summer at the job. I did apply for a new position that'll be part-time. So I will still be able to do 2 to 3 videos a week. But I haven't heard back yet about that. But I'm going to go edit this video now so that I can get most of my work done so I don't have to do anything tomorrow on my birthday, because it'd be nice to kind of take a day off. But thank you so much for watching this video and sticking along. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave me a comment down below. I would really appreciate it. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!